My name is Rishita. I'm from Jain University doing my economics. I'd like to start with the definition of climate change with special emphasis to its directly, indirectly human activity that alters the composition of the global atmosphere. This definition is given by UNFCCC, the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Now my main question is, how does gender role help in mitigating the impacts of climate change? What is gender? Gender is basically how we've brought in the differences between the way men work or the work that men do and the work that women do that is especially grown more larger as after the post-industrialization, because doing work has differentiated from doing work at home and doing work outside. So men started going outside of house and women started to be the keepers of the home ever since. Now, how can waste management help in climate change? To explain this, let's look at this picture. What do you see in this picture? Do you see a lot of plastic component over here? And in that plastic, I'll tell you what there is. India alone produces 62 million tons of municipal solid waste within a year, and this is with respect to only urban population. And in that, we have organic biodegradable waste, that is 51%, non-organic waste, that is 32%, recyclable waste, that is 17%. Out of all this municipal solid waste, 70% is being collected. Out of this 70%, we have 20% that is being treated. The problem with recycling waste is that you have a limit to recycling. For example, plastic can be recycled maximum 3 times before it loses its properties and you cannot recycle it further. Coming to landfills, 50% are being dumped into landfills. Now the problem with this is, once it reaches the landfills, the fate of the waste is of two categories. One is it is either been burnt because it has to create space, right? So with we produce more GHGs by burning our waste. Coming to the second category is we put it in the water bodies. There was a case study by Mukherjee which says that the present annual quantity of solid waste generated in Indian cities increased from 48 million tons in 1997 to 90 million tons in 2009. If we just continue without making any changes, it could be predicted that by 2047 we can reach up to 300 million tons. Now, what's the correlation between waste management and women? As I told you, gender has played an important role into bifurcating the way men work and the way women work. As you can see, there's almost a 50% gap of women's participation in workforce that leaves around a lot of people who remain at home, who work a lot in the household activities, which puts the onus on women in the areas of kitchen and hazardous waste disposal. I will be emphasizing on the hazardous waste disposal in my presentation. So my major research objective was to identify the principal role of women in mitigating the impact of climate change and to explore the possibility of responsible menstrual waste management. So, do you think women contribute to climate change? Yes, we do. The menstrual waste that we produce every month contributes to the climate change, because I'll tell you why. The menstrual waste that we usually use, non-compostable sanitary napkins, are over 1 billion that we produce, and this they as I told you, they end up in the landfills, which means they get burnt and they release the toxins called dioxins, and they might also end up in the water bodies. These sanitary napkins or these menstrual products, some of them have SAPs. SAPs are nothing but super absorbent polymers. These super absorbent polymers absorb almost 30 times more of if you put them in water bodies. They consume a lot of water and they stay within the water body, which makes it very difficult to separate them from the water bodies. It requires a lot of technology to remove them from there. So how many of you use semi-biodegradable sanitary napkins like Stay-Freeze, Sophie, Comfy, Whisper? Just think about it, because I'm one of those users as well. And I'd like to say, as I said, the hazardous waste, all those waste that we put our bodily fluid into, like diapers, sanitary napkins, and all of which are non-compostable mostly, are treated as dry waste. What do I mean by treated as dry waste is they are sent to incinerators. These incinerators again use high temperatures to vanish this waste, and by doing so, we also contribute to high toxic pollutant release. So I have three major case studies. One was a case study in Zimbabwe, where 113 households were studied, which have concluded that women were the primary role players in the kitchen, in activities of kitchen and sanitation. And coming to the Mukherjee study, they were all, so Delhi alone generates 8,360 tons of municipal solid waste per day, and 20% of which respondents have reported sorting the waste in plastic. The picture that I showed you had the waste in the plastic is nothing but our household waste, which contains organic waste, inorganic waste, and recyclable waste that we just not thinking about much further. We wrap it in our plastic bag and we dispose it, right? And according to this study, the Mukherjee study, we got to know that women have a higher abstract knowledge. Abstract knowledge is nothing but knowing the difference between biodegradable and degradable waste, knowing if reducing consumption can induce an economic progress, or reusing better than buying new things. These were the questions that proved that they had more abstract knowledge. And we could conclude by saying that women had more abstract knowledge because they were playing this intrinsic household activities that men usually don't do. So over here, what I'd like to prove is that the local resident area association and the resident welfare association in Delhi over there has went a step forward and given women a place of authority, a community level based setup where women were the heads of this, and they started feeling more responsible, and they have started segregating their waste properly. They started reducing their consumption of they started using better products, like which had less plastic content in, etc. That led to diverting waste from landfills, showing a 16.8% GHG emission that has been avoided. Then the next case study was Satya Natarajan, Operation Red Dot, where you had to take your sanitary napkin, you had to fold it in a newspaper, put a red dot on it, so that they can treat it in a different way after it leaves your household. So these were the major case studies. I believe that we need to stop blaming the municipalities. I would like to give a small anecdote that helps us understand what my major purpose of this study is. There is a story about four people named Everybody, Somebody, Anybody, and Nobody. There was an important job to be done, and everybody was sure that somebody would do it. Anybody could have done it, but nobody did it. Somebody got angry about this because it was everybody's job. Everybody thought anybody could do it, but nobody realized that everybody wouldn't do it. It ended up that everybody blamed somebody when anybody could have done what anybody could have. Nobody did what anybody could have done. So these were the major recommendations. My major recommendation was that if women can actively take part in these activities of segregating waste and trying to reduce your waste and having garage sales, etc., it could reduce almost 5% of our GHGs. And women especially could use reusable cloth pads, reusable tampons, pads made from banana fiber and hyacinth, period panties, menstrual cups, and etc. I am sure that we will face problems with these current solutions as well in the future, because plastic was a revolution when it came, but the problem came with disposing plastic, right? So similarly, I think we need to be more sensitive, and from our side, we need to take up the responsibility for our waste, and I think that would be our perfect solution. This was my methodology and my references. Thank you.